Hello, everyone.
Hello. I just
Hello.
realised with abject horror that we're in a different place on the screen.
Oh dear.
I don't
Well,
like
It's
that's
like
because you were actually early, not
I know.
late today. So I just put you on in order that you arrived, and that's it.
There we go.
I need a paper bag.
But
Hi.
we're at a brand new series again. Yay! I like doing this. I like the mix up we've had this year. You know,
Mm.
different topics. So we're doing influential immigrants now.
Yes. Shall I do the disclaim? Shall I disclaim first and then say what we're going to be talking about?
If you like.
Yeah, but I
Let's
don't.
do it.
Yeah, we'll see how much. I don't know that this one is going to make us swear, although some of his sitters probably will. So yeah, let's go for it.
Yes, that's true. Regardless, this is History After Dark, so we are at liberty and license to indulge in our love of four-letter expletives, filth, innuendo, and general depravity. If you are in an open plan office with a judgmental boss, put a headphone in. If you are in a car, bicycle park, caravan with a small child, we call this child Timmy. We've got some mugs. Timmy is a problem. Timmy is the sort of child that hears one depraved thing one time, locks it away in his mind, Palace takes it to school with him, and then he says in front of his teacher the said depraved thing. Now, God bless her, she's like Miss Honey from Matilda. She doesn't know the first cardinal of History After Dark because, of course, she doesn't watch this utter filth. So she doesn't know that if you don't know what something means, don't Google it. It's not for you. That's fine. Not everything's for everybody. So she Googles it, and now she is rocking back and forward, weeping and non-verbal, which is not ideal. You are now on the hook for 12 weeks of therapy to try and get her standing up and speaking. And on top of that, you also have to explain why little Timmy knows this horrendously unspeakable thing. Put a headphone in. Either way, it should not be a surprise what may happen in today's programming. So at no point do I want to see anybody in the comments here, nor on our personal private social medias coming in and going, oh, I very much enjoy the history of History After Dark, but must you ladies swear so much? It is most indecorous. Yes, I must swear that much. And also, I'm not going to come in and pin that comment because I know that's what you want. I know it's what you want because you want people to come in and humiliate you publicly because that's your kink. And while I won't shame you for your kink, they might, I won't. What I will shame you for is indulging in kink without consent. You've dragged us into your kink without our consent. Now, if you want to go and see my mate Tiffany in that Brighton basement with her lovely collection of dominatrixes, they are dotted around various Brighton basements, and they've got wiped clean walls, wiped clean floors, wiped clean ceilings, wiped clean clothes. They have got bells, whips, tassels, ball gags, and arse gnomes, and they will do, broadly speaking, what you pay them for. If you pay your money, you can almost certainly take your choice. Equally, just call them up. They'll fin-dom you. It's fine. But that is kink with consent. Dear God, I hope you're all adults. Either way, we will never approve this being a drinking game. This will not be medical nor legal advice. Please don't sue. This is History After Dark. And today, the absolutely iridescent Philippa is going to be talking to us about the influential immigrant Hans Holbein, who frankly, oh, look at the hearts, who frankly is, I think, for everybody watching, he is a household name. And I'm going to say that he, when it comes to the branding of the Tudors, the kind of Tudor brand, Hans Holbein and the imagery that he creates is absolutely foundational. And I'm looking forward to learning all about him and his influence. Thank you, Philippa.
Well, that's exactly it. That's exactly why I've chosen him as my first pick for influential immigrant. And it's because, I mean, obviously he's famous, or is this one of our niche things? So everyone watching this will know the Tudors, and they'll have heard of Holbein. And it's, you know, he's not born in England, but he is probably the person who has shaped our literal image of the Tudor court at the time and ever since. So yeah, that's exactly why I have I've picked him. And I mean, I suppose he's famous for I think probably the first thing people notice is the likeness, how he captures the likeness of people. So we actually have just a really good idea of what they really looked like, and not just their faces, but their clothing, their jewelry. He's incredible. I mean, it'd be rude not to do this, seeing as he is an artist. So I have got slides for this one, which I don't normally do.
Whoa! Look at that haircut.
So this is a self-portrait that
Is that a hat, actually?
I
It's
think
gotta
it
be a
is
hat.
actually. I know. So this picture, actually, just out of interest, I mean, it shows lots of his talent. I mean, you can see the folds in his clothes and everything, but the hair. This is another thing that when you start looking at his portraits, you really start to see. So his beard, you can see each individual bristle. And so this is self-portrait. Actually, I've put there 1542 or in brackets up to, because apparently this is it's a sketch. It's colored here, but it was a sketch. It's not, he never painted it. And he worked on it apparently like over lots and lots, over time, and the gold background was put on afterwards, and that wasn't by him and stuff. But anyway, so here is the man himself. He was born sometime in the winter of 1497 into 98 in Augsburg, Germany. And his full name is Hans Holbein, or known as Hans Holbein the Younger, not his natural name, because his father, Hans Holbein the Elder, was also an artist, very well known for producing religious works, altar paintings, were the principal thing that he would produce. Church windows, woodcuts, and he learned his craft initially, him and his brother, from their father. And Augsburg was a major center in the 16th century, economic, trade, cultural hub, had a booming textile, a metalworking industry. So you can imagine this is he's grown up in this really buzzing place with lots and lots of influences, and it was a center for printing and also Renaissance learning, and it became a focal point for the Protestant Reformation. In 1515, Hans moved to Basel in Switzerland. It's now Switzerland. Was it Switzerland then? I don't know my geography at that point. But anyway, Basel, let's leave it at that, in 1515. And he moves there with his brother, Ambrosius, who, like I said, also was also an artist. And it just shows there must be a genetic line, and there must be something in the genes. And they apprenticed there to one of Basel's leading painters, Hans Herbster. And they would be painting murals, religious works, designs for stained glass windows, woodcuts, so for books, for printers to do, frontispieces and things like that. And he also started to do the occasional portrait. And he had met and done a portrait for the humanist Desiderius Erasmus. And have I got it here? No. This is a portrait done by his father, Hans Holbein the Elder, of him and the two little brothers. So this is Hans and I don't know which way around they are, Hans and Ambrosius. And yeah, it looks like it got them into an altarpiece.
Nice.
Which is cute, isn't it? So yeah, so this is the portrait of Erasmus that he did in 1523.
The fur on that.
Yeah,
It's insane.
It's hair by hair. It's just incredible.
It's absolutely incredible. What I find really interesting, see this the two-tailed mermaid up here?
Yeah.
Or the split-tailed mermaid. Any of you who've been following Harvington Hall, or any of us who've been at Harvington Hall, that's very reminiscent of that double-tailed mermaid that's in Mermaid Passage, which they don't know why it's there or where it came from. I'm loving the temptation to say that it's linked somehow to Hans Holbein, but anyway, that's my theory on it. That perhaps it was from a design book. But But yeah, so he does this portrait of Erasmus. Now, he travels quite a great deal, it appears. He's recorded in numerous places. Don't particularly know how long he spent there or what he was doing, but he certainly went to northern Italy. He went to France. So he's picking up. I mean, it must be amazing at this point to be somebody who's that well traveled anyway. But if you're also an artist and you're interested in the Reformation, you know, you're interested in all these ideas, then your knowledge and your skill must really come on, I think.
Mm.
Don't know how it could not. Um, and he continues to produce work. I presume this is how he must be making a living. So he's still doing woodcuts, fresco designs, panel paintings. He's back in Basel in 1519. His brother sort of apparently disappears from the records around this time. So presumably he dies. Don't really know what happens to him. But that's why we don't sort of hear of Ambrosius Holbein as well, I think. Hans marries his wife, which was the lady that this is a portrait he later does of them. This is Elspeth. She was a widow at the time they got married. She already had a son. But they married in 1519. They went on to have their own children. This is the little boy down here is her son. I think that's her son by her first marriage, and then this is their daughter that they had at that point. But yeah,
They
so
look
it's really
utterly
kind of sweet.
miserable.
She
Yeah,
does
they
look
all look
quite.
really sad.
They look
Yeah.
a bit ill to me. Now I don't know if that's like fading. They're very, very pale, and their eyes look like almost like they're ill. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not the prettiest
They look
portrait, I
really
have to
sad.
say.
They
Mm,
do.
yeah. Oh, sorry, I've put Holbein the Elder there. That's not right. This is Holbein the Younger. This is he did this of his family. So but yeah, so that's Elspeth. Elspeth Binsenstock Schmidt. There you go.
Well done.
Bless you.
Yeah. So now, of course, with the spread of the Reformation throughout Northern Europe, demand for these religious images, like the ones his father was producing, falls off. So there's not as much work, and artists have to seek alternative work. Now, this is what brings Holbein to England, because Thomas More at this point has his links to Erasmus, who Holbein has painted. And in 1526, with a recommendation from Erasmus, he comes to England and meets Sir Thomas More. And of course, we know he creates portraits of, sorry, that's Erasmus again, of More and his family. So I've only got a selection today. I've not got Holbein. Right, it's prolific. I mean, I was going to Google how many portraits do we know of that Holbein has done, but it must be hundreds and hundreds. And there's obviously the finished article like we've got here, and then there's the plethora of sketches that have become quite familiar over the last few years with them being shared quite a lot. But yeah, so this is the portrait that he does of Thomas More. So Holbein builds up a reputation quite quickly. More is obviously in this. More is in this humanist community. These men of learning that they see themselves, and he starts doing other portraits and gets work that way. And as well as the physical likeness, like we've talked about, and the great detail in the clothing. I mean, look at the velvet. Look at the velvet on those sleeves. Red velvet on Moore's sleeves, just shining like you would expect it to. It's incredible. But so not only have you got that, but you start to not start to see, he does include in his paintings details of other things. So signs of either someone's position or their learning, their achievements, something that they want to convey. He is top notch. He's incredible at getting that into the portrait as well. So these portraits of people, they're not just like the best in terms of their likeness, They can show off the sumptuousness of their clothes, but they can also show their position in this portrait of More. I suppose it's his the S collar. He's holding something. I can't remember what he's holding in this. I should know that. But everything has significance. And so these portraits are telling a story about the sitter that they want to convey. And in this way, he marks a real turning point in English art. I suppose what's expected, what people want to see. He goes back to Basil. I mean, I suppose the Tudor court is a little bit. I think he comes across to me as someone who goes where the work is. Actually, like I don't think he's. And I could be wrong, but I don't think he's an ideologue in any way. So, like, I read accounts and we went back to Basil because things were a little bit hot at the Tudor court or whatever. But he has got a wife and children, so it's also just as because I don't think she comes with him. I might have that wrong, but anyway. But that's home. So he does actually go back to Basil's second home where he got married in 1528, and he stays there for 4 years. He comes back to England in 1532. So, I mean, if you're trying to avoid
pretty spicy, yeah.
If you're trying to avoid when the Tudor court is spicy and hot, that is not. He wouldn't be coming back at that point. So I think this is a man who he's not seeing himself getting involved in this. He's there to do his work. Because I
did a zoom in as well. I did a zoom in. He's holding a folded piece of paper. It looks like some sort of letter or note. It's not the kind of beautifully folded diplomatic missive. It could theoretically be a kind of letter passed for discretion. We'd have to ask our friends who do letter locking to see what they think of this. It's clearly it's a multiply folded piece of paper with no writing visible.
I can keep your secret. Yeah, it's really interesting. Thank you. So Holbein comes back to England in 1532. Like we say, this is when things are getting really hot, and they're not going to settle down. But he does actually stay in England after that point. So he's back in 1532, and he's securing royal patronage. Anne Boleyn is a patron of his, and of course Henry VIII. The king at the time, for anyone who doesn't know, understands very well the power of the visual. He understands in person, and he understands that in imagery, that the visual conveys power and authority. He gets this. And Holbein, perfect. I mean, how amazing to have this guy who can do these portraits. And so they're not simply records of what a person looked like we've talked about. They're conveying a message every time. And of course, this is probably, one of the most famous images in the world ever, certainly of the Tudors and of Henry VIII. Now, the one on the right is the one we'd recognise. The one on the left is the original cartoon. So I'll explain what that is in a minute. Of Henry VIII with this stance, this famous stance of the feet facing forward and slightly out, hand on his hip, other hand on his dagger, broad shoulders, which if you haven't got them, just wear them, which is what he seems to do. Just like the pads are out, codpiece forward, best codpiece forward, and thrusting. Conveying all sorts of power, authority, and virility. So the cartoon on the left. So the Whitehall mural was literally a mural. So it was painted onto the wall of Whitehall Palace. Whitehall Palace burns down. The mural is lost. Luckily, or fortunately, should I say, for us, many people have been in and recorded what it looked like. And Charles II had someone come in and paint it. And it was from the family of did they call it the family of Henry VIII? Or was that the other one? What's the name of the so the Whitehall mural is the one that depicts Henry VII and Elizabeth of York standing either side or just behind this sort of pillar, but either side of this pillar, and then Henry VIII and Jane Seymour is in the front of it. So this is conveying obviously the lineage of the Tudor family that is going to lead to Edward VI. And the cartoon survives. The cartoon is this sort of sketch, and it's full size, and you can see it in the National Portrait Gallery. And if you go up close to it, you can see that it is full of pinholes, and that would be used effectively to outline or that sketch onto the wall, and they would use charcoal to rub on it. I don't know how he'd do it without. There must be a technique that I'm not aware of that doesn't. Oh, I suppose you'd turn it on the back side, wouldn't you? No, would you? I'm trying to think this through. I don't know. Someone knows, and I'm just trying to work it out in front of you all. But yeah, so they rub charcoal through it, and that would put an outline on the wall, and then they'd fill it in. So and that survives, which is quite exciting when you go into the National Portrait Gallery Tudor room and you see that. So this is one of his most famous ones, but the probably the best one to illustrate how he sort of brings in symbolism, messages, that kind of thing, is this one, the Ambassadors, which is this double portrait, quite unusual. Tracy Borman has just written a little sort of one of these sort of information books for the National Portrait Gallery, and I did an interview with her actually about this portrait, so you can see that. And it's a double portrait, which is unusual because this is more, there's so many messages in this that could be here that we don't recognize. Like, this is normally the stance of a married couple potentially, but then one of them slightly behind the other one, and then you have this table full of objects, but then also they are standing on a very distinctive pavement, very sort of reminiscent of the Cosmati pavement actually in Westminster Abbey. You've got the skull going across the bottom, which I've forgotten the name of the technique again.
Oh, yeah.
Anamorphic. So the skull comes into proper view if you're looking from the side, and it's a memento mori. Basically, it's a reminder of death. And memento mori, I think one of the ambassadors, I think it was Jean de Dontonville. That's it's one of his what do you call it?
Signature
motto.
Oh, right.
I was going to say it's his saying. No. Yeah, and these two were very good friends. Georges de Selve is the other guy. But then in the top left-hand corner, you've got a Jesus on the cross just poking around, or you can just see the curtain slightly moved, and that's behind. There's things everywhere. The lute has a broken string. It's so in disharmony. So this one was this portrait was painted in 1533. So like we say, this is sort of so much change going on. Henry VIII has married Anne Boleyn. Anne Boleyn has been crowned with St Edward's crown. She's visibly pregnant at the time. She has Elizabeth in the September. Henry's, he's done it now. He's totally broken with Rome. Catherine of Aragon he's supposedly divorced her, but anyway, that's another story. And and there's all this, and yet this portrait is to be hung privately. But anyway, but there's no better example really in Holbein's work of this, just being able to bring in all these messages and things that are not as clear to us as they probably would have been to the people at the time, and certainly not to the people who've commissioned it, because they would know what they're asking for. But it makes for a very interesting talking point for us nowadays. But yeah, so we know for this, of course, the Well, I'm gonna show you a couple of miniatures as well, because he also was very good at miniatures. And so I found I saw
Oh,
these
the
at
Brandon boys.
Brandon boys. So
Mm,
these were at the Holbein
very
exhibition that
fun.
was on at Buckingham Palace that I went to last year. And yeah, this is Charles and Henry Brandon. The boys are the sons of Charles Brandon, Duke of Suffolk, and Catherine Willoughby. And they tragically, well, they both got the title Duke of Suffolk because um, their dad had died, and then they ended up the elder one died just before the younger one, and so the
Yeah.
title passed, but like for a few minutes, and they both basically died on the same day, which is just horrible story. But it's so cute. They're so well captured in these miniatures. And
They're so alike as well. They're so alike.
you can see their little personalities, especially this one with his head cocked a little bit. I think this one might be
Yeah.
older one. And they're on the one or both are set on playing cards. They're vellum with a playing card back, as in a a card.
Yeah,
card
that's
game card.
very common for miniatures. Lavinia Tearlink does it, and so
Mm.
does Hilliard. They use vellum on a playing card. That's almost the most common thing I've seen.
Must be just a very good, sturdy,
Mm,
Readily
mount, basically.
available.
And
Yeah.
readily available. Yeah. Whoever's pack of cards it was probably a bit pissed off because they're missing two.
where's the three of
Yeah. I
diamonds
mean,
and the four of spades?
Yeah.
there are people that think that perhaps the playing card that's chosen might have a significance.
Well, one of them is the king of. Oh, I'm trying to remember now. It's definitely on a king. I can't remember the king of what. Might be hearts. I don't know. One of them anyway. So yeah. Now, the ambassadors was a fairly like when I was with Tracy, I asked her, was this not a dangerous portrait for him to paint? But I think it must have been seen that the painter and the commission were not one and the same. If he wasn't painting for himself, he wasn't, conveying these messages for himself. But the other painting that, of course, he didn't get in trouble for, but people ask about, is the one of Anne of Cleves.
Mm.
Lovely Anna.
Lovely Anna of Cleves, painted in 1539 as one of I think her and her sister had portraits done, and they were sent to Henry for him to choose, which is gross. But it's a beautiful portrait. She is, I think she's beautiful, but
A tiny waist.
well, it's a very good belt, but yeah, and but of course he doesn't get into trouble. Famously, Henry claims that when he meets Anna, he's so disgusted by her and put off by her that he can't possibly consummate a marriage
Yeah.
between them, and etc., and it gets annulled 6 months later. But nothing happens to Holbein, who's produced the image that persuaded Henry
Yeah.
that she was,
I mean, Henry
beautiful.
also complains that he wonders that men have described Prater so highly. He wonders what men's eyes would do, but he makes no comment about the portrait being an exception. He claims that people have told him things, but he makes no comment on this portrait being a lie. So it must have looked enough like her that he didn't feel like Holbein had deceived him, because he is looking for people to blame and kill. Cromwell dies because of this.
Yeah.
And that, like you say, that never happens. And if this isn't a likeness of Anna, then this is the only one that he suddenly doesn't manage to have a likeness of. I mean, I presume there was some element of flattery in some of the portraits. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but then Henry would have known that too.
Yeah,
Henry would have expected there to be the same sort. It can't be deceiving enough that it would have that Henry would have been like, he's not been catfished by this portrait, because he would have commented on it.
You-
And
Quite.
Holbein was the
Well-
last remained court painter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, isn't it? I mean, he's not the only one. Of course, you've got I don't know how they overlap, but Hilliard's around, Teerlink's around, certainly towards the end. But I don't know. Maybe it's just he's so good. It would be like, I don't know, like getting rid of your hairdresser. I don't know, somebody who makes me look good. Someone who's just like, if we get rid of them, my hair's gonna look shit for the rest of my life. I don't know. And just it's just untouchable in some way. But yeah. So I thought that's an interesting one to bring up. And then I've just got one more that I want to bring up, and then I'll tell you what happens to Holbein in the end, because this one is, I'll show you in a second, is just, we've seen so much detail, but check this one out.
Yes, this one's
This-
incredible.
So this is Charles de Solier. He was one of Francis I's ambassadors. He did ambassadorial times in England, and this is painted in 1534. This one to me could be
It's
a photograph.
photoreal. It's photoreal. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's even like hyper realistic in AI. It's almost like
Yes, it does actually. It does.
Yeah.
It's like AI's created it.
It looks like he could lean out of the portrait and slap you.
Yeah, which he does. He
And
looks
it
the
kind of looks like
type.
he wants to.
Well,
Yeah.
on that, let's have a
He
look at his
looks-
hands, because I've done a separate picture of his hands, because, well, so one's in a glove, one he's holding his glove, but look how realistic his skin is.
Hands are so hard. Hands are so, like, every artist will tell you how hard hands are. This guy, you would not convince me that if you saw this guy in real life, the veins will match. Like, his vasculature would look like that.
Isn't it amazing? Even the way,
Which
like,
others-
the chain around his neck. I don't know if that's a watch on the end or just a pendant, but it's sort of half tucked in into his waistcoat. Just the whole thing. I thought this was just a fantastic example of.
If you're listening on
It's
the podcast,
incredible.
it's safe to Google. Do
Yeah,
Google
you can Google Holbein's portrait of Charles de Solier. Yeah,
It's incredible.
just amazing, isn't it?
It's like jaw-droppingly incredible.
So I thought that was a good example. So, but Holbein, let's go back to a picture of Holbein while we finish this off. He dies in 1543, and unfortunately, he dies of the plague when that's going through London, and he is buried in a communal pit in the grounds of Christchurch Priory, which is now the yard of St Catherine Cree, which is on Leadenhall Street. But that's how he ends his days, which is such a sad ending for such an influential man. So
You
there we
wonder what
go.
else he would have gone on to do had he not met that earlier. We've talked about this before, haven't we? You know, when you lose somebody, you wonder what else would have happened. You know,
I
how
should
much-
say as well, he designed pageantry scenery. He designed architecture, like he jewelry.
Cups.
He turned his hand to everything.
Yeah.
So there you
I
are.
haven't read it. Sweep the dust off the top, but I do have this.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I think I haven't read it, but BBC Radio 4 really liked it. So
Who wrote it? The King's Painter. This is written on this.
the King's Painter. Oh, there's a sticker over it, so that's not very helpful, is it? Hang on.
Apologies to whoever wrote it.
Franny Moyle.
I remember hearing about this book
producer and
now.
author.
Yeah.
Her first book, Desperate Romantics, was adapted into the BBC drama serial of the same name.
There you go.
There you go.
Also, the side note, I'm just looking at his portrait of Jane Seymour. And we are so as costumed interpreters, we are so indebted to Hans Holbein because, you know, from the kind of the ouches, the aglets, the jewelry, but also in his painting of Jane Seymour, you can see the individual golden heads of the pins that are holding her stomach in place. From his painting, we can see how she got dressed.
Yeah. It's
Um,
amazing.
we can see the way the fabrics lie, the full sleeve, the pulled through material, and in terms of like the headwear, the hoods, and in his sketch, in the sketch of Thomas More's family, that's supposed to be a big painting, we have an example of a few different hoods, including an English transitional hood. So like we are so indebted to Holbein.
Yeah, I mean, he must be. I imagine he must. Like what kind of person? But he's so detailed. He's so in the detail. That sort of thing is not going to. It feels like he's somebody who must. He has to be that detailed. It wouldn't sit right with him if he missed anything, because I don't know. Maybe that's either just how he was taught. His father, was good at this as well. But to put individual pinheads in when really, who would have known if he didn't?
Yeah.
Comes across as a very detailed person, and thank goodness, like you say.
Yeah, I was looking at even the sketch, because also with the family of Sir Thomas More, we have so many ladies, and we can see that they are actually there's 2 English transitional hoods in this, but also you can see how they've made different choices with the way they've pinned up their veil. So some have their veil down long, in their kind of more Spanish hoods. Some have clearly pinned up both sides, like, so you can see that they're making these different choices,
individual choices. Yeah, I love that. Because otherwise you get one portrait, everyone wore their hoods like this, like as if we all wear, I don't know, our scarves the same way. We don't. Everyone has a different way. Not it, bizarrely. I love that, and I suppose that comes from as well how many portraits he gets to do. Just shows how many must be lost to time as well with the number of sketches.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and because a lot of those my understanding is the Holbein sketches that were a fundamental part of the exhibition at Buckingham Palace, lots of those were found in a drawer by my favourite, Caroline of Ansbach.
Oh wow! Who's having a little look round?
Yeah, so they were like in a folder, and so one of the reasons they have survived because she liked them. And so she preserved them. So that's sort of his sketchbook of all of those Tudor faces. We can in part thank Caroline of Ansbach for keeping that collection together. Which is another, awesome. I think, cool connection.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, because he dies suddenly, so he hasn't got he hasn't got his collection in order. I presume he was working on things, all sorts of things.
And those pinholes, you can see that in the portrait sketch as well. Like that's a technique that he's using.
Yes. I know the National Portrait Gallery one, the cartoon of Henry VIII. I just remember that you can always get up close to that one. I don't know where the other sketches are always kept, but or on display. But yeah, certainly worth looking at. Going in, looking like a total geek, getting really up close to it.
You see, there must be a lot of painters, obviously, with that level of skill now. But I suppose with photography and now AI, a lot of their work isn't going to that's what we had. If you wanted that level of that's what you had. You had painters. Not many people did, obviously. But now I wonder how many people with that level of talent really get to showcase it, even with the world being a much smaller place, if you like.
Probably not. I mean, who's going to pay for someone to do something that takes that long?
Yeah,
unless still only
or something, because obviously we do get portraiture of royalty, but not.
Yeah, we don't get portrait like Holbein's portraits anymore, though, do we? I don't think.
In fact, some of them you look at them and you think, oh, you've paid for that. Interesting. The things people would rather have than money.
I'm a trad art person. I like the art. I like the art to look.
Well, like it's meant, like the thing it's meant to be for starters.
Yeah.
And if it's shit, you just go, oh, it's my entry for the Turner Prize. If no one can work out what's going on.
Saying that, my granddad did when he retired, he decided to do art, and he was of the opinion that some of these pieces of art that were, modern art, were just pieces of rubbish. And then they had a go, and he said, actually, it's really hard. It's really hard to make something look like a piece of art. Actually, it's not just So anyway, so he was convinced the other way in the end. But,
I don't know.
yeah, so
Cool.
Holbein. That's so.
Throw a
I
bucket of
think.
water on the floor and go, oh, that
Oh well, no,
represents.
he was talking about paintings. He was talking about paintings specifically, but yeah. So Hans Holbein. So that he's my first candidate for influential immigrant, because
I think influential indeed.
His impact is just very big at the time and ever since. And like you say, I mean, in everything as well, costume design, not just how we see things, how we've actually recreated them to understand them. Couldn't do it without him. So
marvelous. When you just want to meet someone, we do this a lot. We talk to people and go, I just want to meet them. I just want to,
I think he would be sketching you the moment
with all the wrinkles in. It's just
no.
I can't sit still. I know you didn't literally sit there for like 300 hours, but I can't even sit still for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, you probably did have to sit still for a little while. Yeah.
It's hard.
Right. So
well, thank you very much, my lovely. And what, Philippa, is happening next week?
So Kat is introduced us next week to Charles Ignatius Sancho. Have I got that? Have I pronounced that right?
I mean, Charles Ignatius Sancho, although it's possible that he in life was actually known as Ignatius Sancho.
Right.
And
okay.
I'll be talking about him. And I will
I don't know anything about him, so I'm excited.
No, I don't. I don't think I do anyway.
Well, hopefully I will enlighten you on some things.
You will, for sure. Kat, also, while I've got you, tell us all the things that people should know.
Yes, I will. So if you have enjoyed what you've seen here, then please let us know with money, which you can do by going to www.buymeacoffee.com/had podcast. That's where you can purchase Winnebagos, but also join our close friends on the Instagram. That you'll know you've done it, because when you go on Instagram and you see the Had logo in the circle at the top, if it's got a green light around it, that means you're one of our close friends. And it also means that there's something new for you to see, which Catherine has dragged in from the street, some utter unmitigated filth that relates to history and or beavers, potentially historical beavers. You'll see what our group chat is like. You're welcome. Also, do make sure that you have liked this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, told your mates about it, interact in the comments, just engagement, boost. Thank you very much. You're most kind. What else? You should also check out our Substack, historyafterdarkhub.substack.com. That gives you information about what we're up to, but it also will be a place where you can find this as a podcast. Now, obviously, you can't do subscribees with the podcasty thing, but what you can do is give us a 5-star review and a lovely comment. If you don't think it's worth 5 stars, you haven't got to share. That's fine. Go pick on somebody else. We love you. Thanks. And we've got merch, which is also going to be on the Substack. I'm not wearing it currently, but the ladies are. I've got my Enjoy My History After Dark. Catherine, Catherine's got a rough beaver out. We have got War Boner merch, History After Dark merch, No Fees for Free on the Internet merch. And we also have our new conflict resolution kit series. If you want, you can collect them all. There are 3 to collect. Anything else? Oh, do also check out
our resident artists and told him to do the one we've been asking him to do, because
there we go. And we also, if you check out the description box, you will find our individual social medias too. I think that is everything.
Fabulous.
In which case, be good. And if you can't be good, be careful. And if you can't be careful, for the love of all that is holy, make sure you do not get caught. We're going to leave in 3, 2, 1.